Chen Tao never expected that even if he had crossed over, he would have crossed over and become Batman himself. As we all know, Batman is incredibly intelligent, exceptionally intelligent, and possesses extraordinary combat skills. However, what does all of this have to do with me, the adventurer? Oh. It's okay, can I inherit Batman's power and memory? Wait, why are they all parallel universe versions? The Metropolitan Justice League lay on the ground in front of the Dark Monarch Darkseid. Warning. Detected, Superman's broken cloak, Wonder Woman's rotten shield, Green Lantern's damaged Green Lantern ring. Damn it. Chen Tao looked up at the sky speechlessly and said, "Is it true that I, Batman, can only make a living by picking up the corpses of my teammates?" The next second, he skillfully and quickly picked up something, and then, possessing the magical female hero's compassionate iron wrist, has been loaded. Already holding the Green Lantern. Dawn Saber is loaded. Bat Mage, Heart-Hunting Bat, Bat Tyrannosaurus, Dark Heavenly Father, Red Reaper, Traitor, Drowning Soul, Bat Nisto. With the increasing number of Batman parallel universe versions that Chen Tao can transform into, there is also a rumor circulating in the Justice League. You say Batman, he won't take action until all his teammates lie down. Chapter 1. The Great People in Batman Exposed, for collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Gotham. It's a black page. It is the white words you wrote on black paper, the path you have been tirelessly pursuing and constantly falling. It's like the first sentence of your last story in this lifetime. Batman. The Impressions of Gotham, ZZ. Gotham Bulletin brings you the latest news. The ventriloquist has been in a tense standoff with the police at Gotham Bureau for 3 hours, and experts believe this is simply the mutual attraction of monsters. A few days ago, the Arkham escape. Because Batman, you know, attracted those. So far, Batman has not arrived at the scene, and we can't help but ask, is the rumor of Batman's death true? Is the Gotham City Police Department powerless? Wait, there's a new situation. It's Batman. He's here. In June, Gotham City was rainy and gloomy, but the square in front of the Gotham Bureau was even more noisy than usual. Chen Tao's bat cart had not yet come to a steady stop, and a large group of reporters surrounded him like flies seeing carrion. They braved the drizzle, vigorously pushing and shoving the protesters holding up "We don't want Batman" signs and the police officers holding batons to maintain order. The camera's flash kept flashing. "Batman, may I ask if you are concerned about Gotham's recent rumors that you were killed by Bain? Do you have any challenges for ventriloquists? Batman, why are you being fair and upright this time? You monster. It's all your fault. The lunatic inside, do you understand? You attracted. Get him, get him." The demonstrators attempting to attack the Bat car were quickly knocked down, and Chen Tao turned a deaf ear to them. In the midst of chaos, facing those admiring, indifferent, or disgusted gazes, he opened the sliding roof of the Bat car and inhaled the first wisp of damp air on a rainy night. He felt a bit nervous after a long absence. As an actor in his previous life, he had long been accustomed to being exposed to the spotlight. But today is different from the past. Chen Tao sighed. Even if he travels through the DC universe, he is confident that he can still live well as a super fan of comics. But he never expected to wear it on the head of the famous Batman, Bruce Wayne himself. What about hugging your thighs as agreed? What's it like to become a thigh on your own? As is well known, as the only one among the 7 giants of the Justice League without superpowers, Batman is highly likely to be the most powerful purebred human on Earth's surface ever. He has a wealth of billions, exceptional intelligence, exceptional fighting skills, and a willpower as strong as steel. He punches Darkseid and kicks Justice League, it's indescribable. But what does all of this have to do with Chen Tao, the Traveler? Oh, by the way, Batman is an orphan, and he was also an orphan in his past life, which may be their only commonality. The double orphan duo, with their deceased parents and their deceased interlopers, is incredibly cool. What's even more infuriating is that crossing into Batman is already considered a hellish mode, and the timeline he travels through is actually during the period of Batman. Nightfall. The Dark Knight is about to face one of the few complete defeats in his life. His spine is broken by Bain. This can no longer be described as hell mode. Chen Tao also thought about leaving Gotham behind everything, but he quickly gave up this foolish idea. Bain knows the true identity of Batman. If he runs away without fighting, isn't it suicide? When Bain defeated him and completely took control of the city, perhaps. No, without a doubt, it was his death. Even if you survive by chance and spend your entire life in a wheelchair. His gaze shifted to the bottom left corner and saw a row of silver-white characters that only he could see. The Alfred agreement is currently in effect, warning. You need at least one anchoring item to synchronize Batman memories. Damn it, they all come to Batcave, sign in to get platinum kryptonite, swallow it in one gulp, and directly transform into Superman. He's so lucky that he doesn't even have the basic welfare of the original body's memory as a traveler. After traveling for 3 days, he even tried the toilet paper in the bat hole, but there was no response at all. Chen Tao knew about the Alfred protocol, but in the comic, it was supposed to be a physical-mechanical device for Batman to prevent his memory from being tampered with, rather than this strange thing appearing on the retina. Batman. A call interrupted Chen Tao's thoughts. He turned his head and saw Jim Gordon, the police chief of Gotham City, running over quickly. He was lying on his forehead with 2 large black circles under his eyes, mixed with some gray-brown hair that was messy and wet, making him look both embarrassed and neurotic, like a weakling marmot that had been forcibly X.rated. Oh my goodness. Batman. You're here, it's hard to imagine you're still alive. I saw Bain break your neck with my own eyes. Are you really a bat, not a clown who found his clothes on the bat's corpse and put on his headband? What kind of role-playing game are you playing with me here? I am, Chen Tao replied, boring probing ends here. I am not a fake. Don't be fooled by that rumor. He immediately recognized Gordon's probing meaning hidden in the joke, so he immediately interrupted the other party. That's right, although his body is real, his soul is fake. So don't discover the truth, sharp detective. Chen Tao sighed to himself, it's really difficult to deal with Gotham's group of people. Without Batman's memories, everything has to rely on oneself. He turned his gaze to the Gotham Bureau, which was silent in the rain. So, this is the plan. As a super fan of comic books, he knows Batman comics by heart and knows the villainous characters in the comics very well. Combined with his skills as an actor and his ability as a former psychologist to control the psychology of others, he may be able to try to control and master some weaker or less healthy villains on a psychological level, and then use them to fight against Bain. Chen Tao looked at Gordon and went straight to the topic. Did I bring what I wanted? Oh, of course. Director Gordon's gaze drifted away from his face and he lifted the evidence bag in his hand. Inside is a ferocious puppet with a scar on his face. Scarface, the beloved doll of ventriloquists. Well, give it to me. Director Gordon was clearly hesitating, but he obediently handed over the evidence bag to Chen Tao, which relieved him. After some thought, he explained. The source of that rumor is that Bain killed the so-called Batman, not me, but my disciple, the Angel of Death. Right. Gordon was very clever not to continue this topic. Chen Tao gave him a deep glance. Let's talk about this matter later. He took out a huge shoulder bag from behind the bat cart, holding a puppet's scarred face in his hand, and walked towards the entrance of the evidence bureau in front of everyone. Ha! He whispered in an imperceptible voice. Ladies and gentlemen. The props are ready and the actors are in position. Please allow me to announce with honor that the performance start. This book has already been signed for internal submission. You can rest assured to invest now. Chapter 2. Treatment for Abdominal Language Speakers. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The ventriloquist sat against the wall. He was holding a gun in his hand, like a helpless prisoner waiting for the door to be slowly pushed open. If we only look at his appearance, no one would have imagined that this bald white old man in his 50s and 60s would be a well-known ventriloquist in the dark world. To be honest, his trembling appearance doesn't seem like such a dangerous person. The several hostages next to them shook into a ball like quails. They are all employees of the Bureau of Physical Evidence, with a guard panting and lying on the ground, half of his body stained red with blood. He tried to resist, but in front of the ventriloquist, he was shot through the back of his hand without even pulling out his gun. Oh, Mr. Socks. A white woolen sock was worn by a ventriloquist on his left hand, a replacement personality he created when he couldn't find his dull scar face. Is it really right to hurt others like this? He timidly and cautiously said to his left hand. Look, he's bleeding. Enough, Mr. Ventriloquist, you must be too cowardly. He kept his mouth tightly closed, but his voice came out of his stomach. The hand with socks on it controls the opening and closing of the socks, as if the socks are speaking, indescribable and eerie. What a fool. Without the hostages, what should we exchange for scar noodles? His left sock swayed alertly around him, like a venomous snake full of aggression. Be kind at the right time. This bastard got shot on his own. As long as they cooperate well, I won't hurt them, will I? But. Shut up. Don't waste your energy on these boring things anymore, Batman may rush in at any time. The ventriloquist wept in a low, aggrieved voice, but still dared not refute Mr. Socks, so he sadly apologized to the injured guard. I'm sorry, wow. Dong dong dong. The violent knocking on the door interrupted his voice. The muzzle of the ventriloquist immediately aimed at the hostage, and his voice switched to the voice of Mr. Socks, deep, dark, full of madness and tyranny, like a beast that had been invaded by territory. I said, if you dare to come in, I will pierce through. Knock knock, this is Batman. Arnold's hair stood up all over his body. He is too familiar with this voice, indeed Batman. But today's situation is a bit strange. As is well known, Batman never walks through the door and never knocks. Mr. Socks mobilized his muscles all over his body and began to tighten. He crawled on the ground, raised his gun, and was ready to attack. As long as Batman dares to come in, bullets will lick and grind him in the spitting of the fire snake. Hurry up and open the door, let Daddy Bat instill the sweet milk of justice in you, what? The nonsense that came out of the usually serious Batman's mouth plunged the ventriloquist's brain into a momentary crash, and also allowed Chen Tao to not be attacked as he should have been when he pushed open the door. Batman, you. After a brief moment of unconsciousness, the ventriloquist immediately reacted. But the moment is fleeting, my friend. Scar face. The puppet blocked his muzzle, making his fingers feel as if they were stuck and unable to pull the trigger again. Bastard, let go of me immediately. In an instant, a brand new voice rang out. If Mr. Sock's previous voice was at best a frenzied thug, then this new voice was like the embodiment of darkness. The embodiment of inner darkness of the ventriloquist. The endless malice is almost turning into ink dripping onto the ground. The ventriloquist stood up from the ground. The little old man who had previously been timid and cowardly disappeared completely. He straightened his chest and bulged his latissimus dorsi, as if a demon had settled on this small body. He tightly closed his mouth, his left sock opening and closing, his voice trembling and echoing in the narrow space. Return Mr. Scarface to us. No, don't do that. I've talked to Batman before. The ventriloquist suddenly froze. This sound comes from the scar surface of the body. Chen Tao kept his mouth tightly closed. Do you know ventriloquism? As an actor, imitating others is a fundamental skill, including voice. When they hit the first face-to-face encounter, the ventriloquist should have shot through his head, but he couldn't do it, so. Next, it's his home court. He never considered using normal methods to treat ventriloquists. Mr. Socks felt the danger and loudly ordered Arnold to shoot. Don't shoot. I've talked to Batman and you're a good person. I used to force you to do bad things, right? No, that was not what Scarface said earlier. I want you to shoot. That's right, listen to Scarface, shoot. No, I command you as Scarface, you have to listen to the Bat's words. Stop. The four voices mixed together, and Chen Tao's ventriloquist and the ventriloquist's ventriloquist were fiercely vying for the dominance of the Scarface doll. This is the most fatal weakness of ventriloquists. Their split personalities bring suspicion, and their verbal tricks cannot defeat Chen Tao. He imitates the behavior patterns of his enemies, causing his imitated Scar voice to alternate with the real Scar voice, completely confusing the ventriloquists. In a fierce argument, Chen Tao opened his shoulder bag with the other hand, which was filled with dolls, a type of toy that can be extended to control the doll's movements, of various types. Arnold's gaze was drawn to him and he instinctively asked. What does this mean? Chen Tao suddenly extended his hand. Damn it. Between the lightning and fire, the muzzle of the ventriloquist pointed towards Chen Tao's chin like a spring. But it was still too late, and the voice of the Scarface doll almost simultaneously issued an opposite command to the ventriloquist. So when the ventriloquist cleared his sticky brain, the socks were already in Chen Tao's hand. The armed forces have been disarmed. No. Mr. Socks. The ventriloquist let out a earth-shattering scream. What do you want to do to Mr. Socks? Without the help of his sock personality, he transformed back into that ordinary little old man. Chen Tao ignored him and kicked the poor old man into the corner. Now you're safe, go out, he said, yeah. The hostages looked at each other, then screamed in unison and ran out. Even the guard who had just lay on the ground got up on his own, screaming and showing off his injured hand, running faster than a rabbit. Chen Tao maintained a bat-like facial paralysis until the hall was empty. He walked up to the ventriloquist, raised his stinky socks expressionlessly, and then tore them apart in front of him. No. The ventriloquist pounced on the wreckage of the sock like a dead parent and said, whoa. No. Socks. How can I live without you? Socks. Socks, please take me away, Socks. But before he could even cry halfway, Chen Tao grabbed him off the ground and slapped him twice. Don't cry, look, what's this? Scar face. Just as Arnold wanted to jump on it, Chen Tao twisted the Scar puppet into fried dough twists in his face, and then crushed it with his feet on the ground. Get up. Chen Tao lifted the little old man who was about to start howling from the ground, arched left and right, and beat him with stars in his eyes. He forcefully pulled him back when he was about to fall ill. After forcefully diverting his attention through physical means, Chen Tao threw him onto a backpack full of dolls and said, "Don't think about old dolls, try new ones. There are dozens of them here, just pick them up." The ventriloquist was stunned by the personality correction punch, his eyes wide open, and he had not yet recovered from the blow of losing two personalities in a row. He grabbed a doll in a daze, and the next second, a new sound came out of his stomach due to severe personality disorder. Ventriloquists tend to create evil parapersonalities. Essentially, these sub-personalities serve as protectors to protect the cowardly protagonist Arnold. But in just a few seconds, both of his protective personalities were violently destroyed by Chen Tao. Therefore, at this time, he is in a period of extreme fear and lack of protective personality. Under normal circumstances, ventriloquists will involuntarily search for something, give it a personified image, and then wear it on their hands to create a new personality to protect themselves, just like how they created Mr. Socks before. But What would happen if he were suddenly given dozens of toys at this moment? Oh, this is Chapter 3. Alfred Agreement in Progress. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Oh, my goodness. Rhinoceros, tigers, rabbits, turtles, hedgehogs, cats, gorillas, lions, elephants, monkeys, beetles, dinosaurs, watermelons, bananas, apples, blueberries, gray clothes, robots, cowboys, police, construction workers, nurses, doctors. Don't fight anymore. Stop it, you guys, stop it. Chen Tao squatted next to him, looking at the ventriloquist airing plush toys on each of his 10 fingers and toes, fighting fiercely against each other. He also placed a large number of toys beside him, participating in this personality battle together. He could even see that the middle-aged balding head of the ventriloquist began to smoke, and the whole person seemed to become a human speaker, and countless miscellaneous voices roared on his short body, which became a pot of porridge in his body. Ah! The ventriloquist let out a scream, originally just a battle between dolls, but now it has affected Arnold himself. A bird doll seemed to have successfully convinced several other dolls on his fingers. 5 dolls twisted into fists, and the boxed punch hit Arnold's own eye socket. Help! Help me! Chen Tao shook his head and had an expression of looking at trash. It's indeed a mental illness, there's no way to save it. In history, when ventriloquists invaded the evidence room of Gotham City Police Station, they were able to calmly select the police doll as their newly born deputy because there was Mr. Socks, a stronger deputy, as a means of suppression. However, now that Mr. Socks is directly under Chen Tao's eye's control, each newly created personality has similar power. How can it be possible to quickly separate the leader? Together, they were evenly matched, like dozens of viruses running on the same computer. Oh, 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 oh. As time passed, personalities continued to argue loudly, but the facial expression management of the ventriloquist gradually began to lose control. His 2 eyeballs were tilted in different directions, and his mouth flowed with saliva, emitting an unconscious howl of pleasure. It's almost done, we need to start the next stage of treatment immediately. If the brain CPU really burns out, it's not good. So Chen Tao walked into the pile of puppets and found a Batman plush toy. This is a cartoon-shaped mini Batman baby with a pacifier in its mouth, dressed in black, wearing diapers, and a belt made of cloth sewn on its waist. It looks very silly and cute, and at first glance, it is the type that little girls like. Chen Tao also built that in a wireless communication module inside, which can remotely control the doll to speak, further facilitating his control of the ventriloquist. It's you. Then Chen Tao walked up to the ventriloquist and with a few strokes, he pulled up all the dolls in his hand. The ventriloquist pounced on Chen Tao's thigh and rubbed his pant legs with tears and nose, saying, "Oh my goodness, you want to fight against rhinoceros, tigers, rabbits, turtles, hedgehogs, cats, gorillas, lions. Get lost." Chen Tao rudely stripped the entire body of the middle-aged bald old man, not even leaving a pair of underwear. Then stack all the toys he had just picked up on his body together. He pulled out a lighter. No. No. The ventriloquist struggled too fiercely, so Chen Tao sandwiched him under his ribs and lit up the pile of plush toys. Boom. These things are all flammable, and flames suddenly burst out. Well, even if it's a plush toy that hasn't been seen as a personification by ventriloquists, we can't let it go. So Chen Tao lit up the remaining plush toys in the side bag. No. Arnold collapsed weakly to the ground, his body now bare, even if he wanted to take off his underwear and put it on his hand to create a new personality. Arnold. Arnold. Without any response, the ventriloquist wailed like an oversized balding baby, slapping himself left and right while crying. Take me away, take me away. If it weren't for Chen Tao's obstruction, he would have almost rushed into the fire with a mournful cry. Chen Tao was very satisfied with his reaction. He took out a bottle of medicine and sprayed a large cloud of mist on the poor little old man's face. Cough, cough, cough. Oh, 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 oh. The ventriloquist stopped howling this time and began to twitch like an epileptic. Fear potion. The poison made by the scarecrow has the effect of amplifying fear. Did you see that? No matter how many new friends you make, I will kill them all, jia jia jia. Chen Tao approached him, grabbed his neck, and forced him to stare into his own eyes. The ventriloquist began to howl loudly again, and Chen Tao even suspected that he would vomit his throat out of his mouth the next second. Although it is unclear what the ventriloquist specifically sees, from the ventriloquist's perspective, perhaps the entire world is burning. Flame, the Batman he fears the most, the fear brought by the lack of protector personality, and the fear toxin, mixed and boiled into a thick soup called extreme fear. The taste is just right. Only this, Bat. Well, Mini Batman baby, will be the only friend I allow you to make. Chen Tao stuffed his toy Batman into his hand and said, he will replace my will and monitor whether you are listening to me at any time. Don't throw it away. Don't leave it. He won't make you kill like Scarface, he'll make you listen to me. He won't harm you. I won't harm you either. All of this is for your own good. Chen Tao shouted at the ventriloquist's head at the maximum volume, and the sound waves wrapped around the saliva sprayed onto Arnold's face, causing a severe psychological impact on him who was in a daze. He was holding a mini Batman baby toy, and a crystal-clear tear flowed from the corner of his eye. Then. There was no response. It's broken, won't it be damaged? Chen Tao gave him 2 slaps with great concern. Speak up, come on, smile. The ventriloquist remained speechless. Arnold, don't be afraid, as long as you listen to Batman, you won't be hurt. A low, distinctly different voice from Arnold's, faintly similar to Batman's voice sounded. Chen Tao's face showed a smile. Successful. Remember, from today on, you will be Batman's dog. Woo. Ha. There seems to be something wrong. Forget it. It's not important. Chen Tao's attention was drawn to the crazily flickering silver-white text in his mind. Warning. Warning. Anchored item detected. Obtained. Tiers of personality destruction for Whisperers, Introduction. The tiers left behind by the complete collapse of the ventriloquist's subpersonality can only be obtained by very immoral people through a series of brutal means. You may use it to summon Batman from a parallel universe. But could the existence summoned by immoral products be any kind of tough person? Yes, that's right, you got him, but your morality is also gone. Is all of this really worth it? Chen Tao suddenly looked at his hand, and the tears of the ventriloquist were slowly drying up. Converted Crisis Energy Unit. 10, now able to synchronize Batman memories, Chen Tao's heart became excited. Has the cheat been credited to your account? The agreement has been activated and is currently in effect. It has taken effect. A brand new Batman has been discovered and is being numbered. Your ID is 52, the Alfred protocol has been initialized. A mortal body is not inferior to a strange king. With the power of human beings, one can be on par with the Holy Emperor in the Dark World. One is in fear, guarding with one's own body, Bat Shadow Hero, still unparalleled today. Evil disciples and rebels, afraid of my divine light. Monsters and monsters are unstoppable. The shadow lamp is bright and shining for eternity. Dear Batman 52, welcome to join the Bat Legion. Chapter 4. There are major issues with this basic welfare. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Warning. Anchor prop, Tiers of personality destruction for Whisperers detected, searching for Batman who can be targeted by this anchor prop. Warning. The item was not found to target Batman, randomly matching weak low.level Batman. Successful, matched. Bat monster car, hazard level. Synchronizing. Successful, the crisis energy you currently hold is 0. Warning. This Batman comes from the dark multiverse and has an evil mindset, which may harm Batman's morality and rationality. Cells are boiling amidst joyful cries of sorrow. Genes are overturned like dominoes, with invisible illusory particles kissing and entangled with an existence called reality on his body, and then transforming into each other's reality, presenting a vision of human language that cannot be exhausted. The file, memory of Bat Monster Car, has been synchronized. You can synchronize with others at any time. At hashtag $%, We have detected that you do not have any other anchoring items, the crisis energy is 0, and synchronization with other Batmen is temporarily not supported. In the parallel universe where the Bat Monster Car is located, Batman has invested a part of himself in every technology that controls the world. He has become a part of people's lives, providing a comfortable and safe life for the sheep. But the sheep initiated a revolution. They didn't want to live and work in peace. These idiots only wanted freedom, and all the drawbacks that came with it. I have been systematically erased from this planet, and my electronic technology and physical personality have been destroyed. I can only upload my consciousness into this huge vehicle body. Not right. I'm not a Bat Monster Car. Not even Batman, I'm Chen Tao. After only half a second of immersion, Chen Tao immediately regained consciousness, and his memories surged through his brain, causing his temples to jump incessantly. Wait a minute. Temples. Laughing to death, there were no temples at all. Chen Tao lowered his head and saw the wheels replacing his arms, spinning above the ground. With a clang and the sound of glass shattering, Chen Tao wanted to turn his head. There was no head to turn at all. He saw his swollen body in the rearview mirror crushing the glass door of the adjacent room. I became his mother SUV. What? Huge memories are still constantly being stuffed into Chen Tao's brain. This is the life of the Bat Monster Car. Love, hate, emotion, hatred, all of this unwillingness and sorrow. An uncontrollable and violent emotion surged in his heart, wanting to destroy the entire Gotham. He looked at the ventriloquist, and the desire for slaughter and destruction immediately surged up, suddenly wanting to take a bath in the other person's blood. Chen Tao felt that if he were living in an online game, he would probably be constantly thinking, morality .1. This is probably just a side effect of receiving memories, a complete mental pollution. Is it evil? But this does not conform to my moral values. What benefits does killing a ventriloquist have for me? Chen Tao's mind flickered, and his dark and cruel emotions were swept into the trash can, making the process so easy that even he felt speechless. Understood, kind Batman raises the moral limit, evil Batman lowers the moral limit, and I have no morality. Pride. JPG, he is not Batman at all, nor can he agree with the other person's values, let alone understand the moral choices and struggles he has made in his memory. Since I am completely unable to empathize with it, I will naturally not be affected. Just like the tram problem, others are thinking about which one to save, and he is the only one beside them thinking about how to take photos and sell them to newspapers to make money. These two are not on the same channel at all. Of course, this is only because the Bat Monster Car is too mediocre and there are too few negative emotions, and he cannot empathize with it. If it were the more powerful and evil versions of Batman, would it be a different outcome? However, these are not yet known. Chen Tao quickly shifted his attention to another issue. Can I change back to my previous state? Just as he thought about it, half of his body instantly disintegrated into dark red dots of light, and then condensed back into a flesh and blood body. The memories that had been constantly playing in his mind suddenly came to an end. Perhaps for a long time, or perhaps in an instant. Everything has returned to its original state, as if it was just a dream. Chen Tao rubbed his tiger's mouth and confirmed that he had returned to his original normal Batman, not even breaking a piece of his clothes. He thought for a moment, and his left hand turned into a constantly rotating off-road vehicle wheel with a swish, then changed back the next second. As long as I want to, can I completely turn into that bat monster car anytime, anywhere. But ultimately, what use can the superpowers of becoming a super off-road vehicle have? Listen to me, kill you. And this Alfred agreement. Forget it, my original plan sounds more reliable. Chen Tao shook his head. It has never been his style to entrust the success or failure of work entirely to unknown variables. He turned his gaze back to the ventriloquist. Fortunately, when he just subdued the ventriloquist, he drove those hostages out, and now the other party is the only eyewitness who saw him turn into a car. The middle-aged bald old man stared at him with flickering big eyes, and the bat baby in his hand kept shouting words like, "That's right, this is what a good dog should do," to cheer him on. "Don't say anything about what happened just now. Woo. Speak in person." Okay. Ignoring these details, so far his original plan has gone smoothly. The snowball has already rolled, and with the ventriloquist, he can finally hide behind the scenes and manipulate the opponent to subdue more villains. He can also borrow the identity of a ventriloquist and use Batman's financial abilities to hire some international mercenaries. At that time, the villainous army and mercenary army will not speak of martial arts and will rush forward. Even if Bain has 3 heads and 6 arms, he will be hammered into small biscuits. What's going on in person? It doesn't exist. I would never have jumped off the Tower of Wayne and died outside at the end of the day. He is a traveler. He really likes Batman comics, but it doesn't mean he wants to be Batman in real life. Who would give up their vast wealth and vent their chaotic emotions on the streets like a big bat at night? He also instigated teenagers to wear colorful clothes, not pants, and become enemies with murderers and lunatics. Admit it, Bruce Wayne was already crazy. But he's a different kind of traveler. He's not crazy, he's a normal person. At present, Chen Tao only wants to get rid of the life-threatening ghost Bain who knows Bruce's true identity, retire safely, and then waste the last bit of his energy on those socialites in Gotham City every day. That's right, this is the life he wants to live. He spent his previous life struggling in Hollywood, wasn't it just for this kind of life? As for how Gotham will be in the future, he has already figured it out. Do you really think that the Kryptonians in the Iron Body and the 5,000-year-old demigod from Amazon are eating dry food? Although Chen Tao temporarily did not find Clark Kent in the Metropolitan Planet daily after crossing over, nor did he find antique appraisal expert Diana Prince in Boston. But Planet Daily already has Lewis, and based on time calculations, these two will soon come out to stir up the wind and rain. So now all he needs to do is solve Bain, at least save his own life before these two giants shine, and the beautiful billionaire life is beckoning to him. As for those cosmic crises, at best, be a spoiler dog. With so many superpowers and demigods in the Justice League, would you still be defeated and need him, an ordinary mortal, to save the game? Chen Tao's heart was filled with hope for a comfortable life in the future. But now, the top priority is to defeat Bain. Well, more specifically, now the ventriloquist should call to find cannon fodder. Ah, no, it's mercenaries. Chapter 5. On Earth. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It's late at night. Bain and his men left their hiding place and walked on the streets of the slums of Gotham City. In the imagination of ordinary people, the big villain is usually a strong and powerful man, as strong as a cow, who looks like he can eat 3 children in one meal. And in fact that's right, Bain is such a person. But even so, in Gotham, some desperate people will seek help from this ferocious monster. For example, now. Excuse me, can you save my mother? A little girl stared blankly at the muscular monster that looked down like a mountain, and couldn't help but timidly grab the puppet in her hand. That is a doll picked up from the trash can, which matches well with her tattered clothes. My mother has cancer and she needs medication. She's in too much pain. People say only God can help her. She trembled and looked at Bain with hopeful eyes. Can you help me? Bain stopped his subordinates who wanted to come forward and drive away the little girl. Where is your home? The little girl pointed to the dilapidated house behind her. Bain walked in. A few minutes later, Bain walked out and wiped away the sticky brain and blood from his hands. Your mother will never suffer again. Bury her. Don't rashly seek help from others, otherwise the suffering in the world will automatically come to your door. He looked up slightly and saw the eastern sky, where the stars were hidden under the dark skirts. Bain said. There is no God here. But Bain is here. The long night is yet to come. The night in Gotham is so peaceful, filled with tombstone-like peace. The gray rainwater with a faint sour taste interweaves with the haze filled with industrial waste gas under the neon lights. The Death Shooter stood on the rooftop of the building and saw Gotham City grinning in the misty drizzle. On the street, a car roared past, splashing mud and water all over the passers-by. The passerby immediately took out a submachine gun from his arms and fired directly at the distant car. Clattering. The people in this city are also too exaggerated. The Death Shooter thought this way and skillfully pulled out anti-tank rocket launchers and mortars from his bag. He gave a thumbs up to the distant building, measuring the distance and wind speed. I must remind you, Death Shooter, that my mission requirement is not to have any casualties. In the earphone, the employer's voice came through. Whisperer, how did you come up with the superhero demand of no killing after working in a gang for so many years? Bad guys should have the appearance of bad guys. The Death Shooter complained and placed the mortar on the edge of the rooftop. If it weren't for you being a loyal customer, I would have thought you were Batman's informant. Speaking of which, the new doll in your hand. You wouldn't really have defected to Batman, did Batman not send you a Robin uniform without pants? Empty. The mortar fired, creating a deadly parabola in the air, while the voice of the ventriloquist also came in at the same time. Dead people deduct money. Okay, I got it. Don't worry. The Death Shooter licked his lips and raised the anti-tank rocket launcher. Bang! The rocket fired first, followed by a French wet kiss with the mortar shell above the roof of the building. Boom! In the loud noise, the roof of the building was torn open like an open can, exploding into pieces, revealing enemies below who were as panicked as ants. Look, I'll tell you, I'll bring the Mad Hatter to you intact. The Death Shooter pulled out his sniper rifle but did not move. But now, my employer. Due to your lack of trust, I don't want to take on this order. What? Startled by this, the Mad Hatter is likely to hide. If he wants to catch it again, it will be 10 times more difficult. Moreover, Gotham is a city covered by Batman, and there are not many mercenaries willing to come here. This employer, you don't want the task to be impossible to complete, do you? Enough. Just say the conditions. The Death Shooter looked up at the sky at 45 degrees and without hesitation, spoke with righteousness and clarity, speaking with great righteousness. We need to add money. The long night is yet to come. The night is like a girl shedding her veil, sincere and passionate, lingering with this city. The Cheshire Cat gracefully strolls along the empty hallway of Gotham Heights High School, with the sound of sirens and the panicked cries of countless people outside the window. I must remind you, madam, that the target of this mission, Mr. Zaz, is just like you, a deadly killer. The ventriloquist came through the earphone. Oh no, it should be the sound of the bat doll on his left hand. I have no doubt that you can defeat him, but my requirement is to ensure the safety of every student hostage. So, you must first separate Zaz from those female students before fighting. Oh, really? The slender fingers of the Cheshire Cat ran over her plump waist and chest, and the captivating whiteness lingered on her smiling cat face mask. I don't think it's that troublesome, is it? What are you saying? She's not talking to you. The cold moonlight mixed with the red and blue light of the police lights shone on the assassin who rose from the shadows. The dense scars were engraved on his muscular physique. Victor Zsasz, one of Gotham's famous villains. His gaze stopped at the graceful figure of the woman. "Why don't you let me have a glimpse of her beauty, madam?" "Oh no, you know." The female assassin turned around. Cats never take off their masks. Especially in front of a completely naked exhibitionist. A short knife appeared in the opponent's empty palm. The Cheshire Cat sighed. She pulled out a retractable knife from the back, and then pulled out many swords from the middle of the front, pouring out her stored grain like a hamster. Then she tilted her head. Catfight. Gotham's famous exposure maniac and serial killer, Mr. Zsasz, revealed a twisted smile. Cat quest. The long night is yet to come. In the underground bat hole of Wayne Manor, Chen Tao is remotely micro-manipulating the mercenaries with the voice of a ventriloquist, like some bald guy. Enough. Just say the terms. What? We need to pay extra. With a big wave of his hand, he let out the voice of a dog tycoon. Add, you can add. He turned his head and saw the third-generation Robin Tim Drake angrily holding a piece of paper in front of him, which read. Batman, I still can't believe you didn't bring me and instead spent money to find those mercenaries to help you deal with Bain. The real ventriloquist squatted in the corner with an innocent expression, trying to disguise himself as a real dog. Tim felt his fists hard as he looked at him, but ultimately it was not good to beat him in front of Batman for no reason. So young Robin could only grit his porcelain-like teeth tightly, continuing to write with grief and indignation, and not only did you bring the bad people outside home, but you also called other bad people in front of me. Batman hung up the phone and sighed. The third-generation Robin remained silent for a while. He asked. Is it because of Paul? Not entirely, Chen Tao replied, listen to me. He turned around and grabbed the other person's shoulder, directly facing Robin's eyes. I plan to retire. What? What? This unconventional answer confused Robin directly. Youth will eventually pass away, Tim. Youth is gone, the golden cup is gone, old dreams are hard to come by. Batman was just a dream that an 8-year-old child didn't want to wake up to. And now it's time to wake up. I want to do one last thing for Gotham and live a normal life, the life I deserve. You too, Tim. You have achieved academic success, are exceptionally intelligent, and have both a father and a mother. You don't even understand how rare this is. You should have been worthy of all the beautiful things in this world. You should have gone to school and met your true goddess one day. She will have golden hair and navy blue eyes, or wine red hair. She may be named Gordon or Brown, but one day she will be named Drake. You will know each other, fall in love, my child. Such a green and pure love is something I will never have the chance to do again. We should all escape this nightmare now. With a clang, the tray in Alfred's hand behind them fell to the ground, shattering into pieces. He covered his face and burst into tears of joy. Is this true, Bruce? Am I really not dreaming? Bruce. The long night is yet to come. Chapter 6. Intelligence. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The killer crocodile bit the mouse in its mouth to pieces, and the broken bones mixed with blood dripped from its fangs, creating red ripples in the water. He opened his mouth and exhaled a bloody breath. Killer crocodile Warren Jones is over 2.2 meters tall and has dark blue scales that can withstand direct rifle fire. His sharp claws and fangs emit cold light, making him more like a large crocodile walking upright compared to humans, appearing fierce and not very intelligent. But even if the mind succumbs to primitive perceptions and animal instincts, he still remembers the name of the person who hurt him clearly. Bain. The name echoed in his mind like endless screams. He walked through the dark corners of Gotham City's sewer, searching for the breath of his enemies in the universe of foul odors, filth, and exhaust. His arm is still tingling faintly. Last time, he was only able to hold up in front of Bain and his arm was broken. The killer crocodile knew very well that he had become a tool for Bain to prove his strength to Batman. It was a great shame and an unparalleled motivation. The anger in the beast's heart is burning fiercely, and in nature, crocodiles have always been a highly vengeful animal. But before seeking revenge, he needs to find something to eat. Thinking of this, the ferocious beast couldn't stand up anymore. He gave a loud snort. "Oh, my stomach is hungry, and the mouse is not at all hungry. It's okay, take a break and you won't be hungry anymore." The big crocodile crouched in the garbage dump, feeling aggrieved. Although it was a warm-blooded creature, it still had certain reptile characteristics, such as liking to sit motionless for hours. But just then, his keen sense of smell detected a fragrance. The fragrance was so tempting that he stretched out his curled-up body like a hedgehog. "It smells so good. It's so fragrant. What is this smell? It's roasted whole pig. No, the sewer I'm hiding in now should be a slum. Why does it? But it smells so good." The killer crocodile's brain lazily spun for a while before stopping working. As the strings in his mind snapped apart, his cold vertical pupils also took on a strange shape. Good to eat. With a clang, the drooling killer crocodile lifted the manhole cover and crawled out of the ground. This was an abandoned outdoor parking lot, piled up with wreckage of abandoned cars and various construction waste, with no one around. At this moment, it was the late night of Gotham, with the mist dissipating and the moon and stars sparse. The cool evening breeze and fragrance linger, leaving kiss marks in every corner of the air. Under the bright moonlight, the killer crocodile saw a golden roasted pig lying in the center of the clearing. The killer crocodile's blinking membrane flipped once, and his rationality came back online, revealing a humanized expression in his beastly eyes. It's a trap. The intention of luring is too obvious. Has the roasted pig also been poisoned inside? There is no unusual odor in the air. Oh. Is it a deodorant? Who would have put so much effort into? Yeah, what kind of person is that? I don't know, wow. At this point of analysis, the killer crocodile is stuck. Hiss, my head is so itchy. How should the following ideas be extended? Forget it, but no matter who set it all up, his killer crocodile has no intention of retreating at all. The killer crocodile's heart lit up with snow, but he had a pig-like expression on his face, swaying and flowing with saliva, walking step by step towards the roasted pig. He already has a concern in his heart. No matter who is behind the scenes, he must confirm that the killer crocodile has taken the highly toxic bait before taking the next step. But he didn't play the trick and brought this bait into the groundwater pipeline. If the other party really comes down to see if their venomous hair is gone, then the identities of the prey and hunter will immediately be reversed. If the other party doesn't come, he can also observe in secret and take the initiative to attack. In any case, the initiative has always been firmly held in hand. The killer crocodile couldn't help but give a thumbs up to his intelligence in his heart. It's really clever of me to come up with such a plan in a short period of time. Then he grabbed onto the roasted pig. Next second. Zzz. A current of hundreds of thousands of volts instantly passed through his body, making him feel both inside and outside, and he fell to the ground convulsing uncontrollably. His dark blue scales were blackened by the electricity. Bang! The 4 searchlights buried in the garbage dump suddenly lit up, illuminating the entire abandoned parking lot like daylight. Isn't that right? That's it. The killer crocodile heard the surprised voices of those behind the scenes from the corner. No way, no one really falls into such a simple trap. In an instant, the killer crocodile felt its entire body's blood rush directly from the soles of its feet to its head. Rationality reduced by 100%. The brain immediately left work, and the killer crocodile let out a deformed howl, jumping up and down like a Parkinson's patient. However, due to the influence of the current remaining on his body, his actions were more like dancing an electronic dance than launching an attack. But given his weight of over 1,500 pounds, such movements are still highly lethal. The ventriloquist almost crawled away from where he had just stood, and in the bat baby in his hand, Chen Tao's built-in wireless communication module was constantly reprinting and mocking. Is that right? Is that right? Is that right? At this moment, Chen Tao really had a kind of pleasure of spraying people online in his past life. Especially the ventriloquist was crawling around the scene, but he was drinking coffee in a regular van parked on the roadside a few kilometers away, using satellites and cameras mounted on dolls to observe the scene, which was safe and comfortable. Doo-doo-doo-doo. A little thug is knocking on the car window outside. Brother, do you know whose territory this is? You have to hand it over here. Chen Tao rolled down the car window, revealing his pointed ears and Batman's semi-covered mask. Are you serious? The thug who wanted to extort some money looked like he had seen Batman. He let out a naughty scream and then turned his head and ran away. Damn it, seeing live Batman in the middle of the night really scared me to death. On the other side, the killer crocodile is completely insane. Oh, 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 oh. Before he could take 2 steps, he felt a tightness in his feet and stepped into the prepared trap. Dozens of lassos bounced from the soil on the ground and climbed up his body at a dazzling speed, tying him into a zongzi. Once again, he fell into the trap in a daze, and the killer crocodile became even more angry. But he was hungry, numb, and sad, unable to break free, and could only crawl on the ground with sadness. So successful. So simple. The Death Shooter emerged from his hiding place and looked disdainfully at the man dressed in yellow and blue, resembling a superhero. Enough, stop chattering, Captain Javelin. You should be grateful that our employer was willing to take on the task of attracting enemies, which allowed you, this guy, to make it to the present. He sarcastically said. I think the task just now was more suitable for you. I actually made $2 million in one go with this order. It's so simple. But obviously, the captain of the Javelin, who appeared somewhat excited, didn't even listen to what the Death Shooter was saying. Hey hee hee. I have $2 million now, hey hee hee. He was so excited that his words were incoherent. I'm not going to take the follow-up task anymore. When the task is over, I will wash my hands and get married and go home. He said almost devoutly. This is the most beautiful day of my life. The Death Shooter was speechless, ignoring the idiot who came to be the background board. He said to the Cheshire Cat next to him, send a message to the people with knots and tattoos, let them come over. The Cheshire Cat nodded and could collect the money without needing to make a move, and her mood was also good. Cough, although it went exceptionally smoothly, since the target has been captured, then. The Death Shooter turned his head and said to the ventriloquist lying next to him gasping for breath. Dear employer, I am curious that you have never allowed us to kill the killer crocodile before. Why do you want him to work for you? He pointed to the enraged killer crocodile and said, now, are you still planning to do this? Of course, Arnold was so timid that he couldn't speak at all. The bat baby toy in his hand rushed to answer, I have something to do. No, 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 no. But before he could finish speaking, he was interrupted, and the killer crocodile faced the ground, wriggling and emitting a deafening roar. The Death Shooter calmly put down his hand that covered his ears. Okay, but in fact, I think you're probably already enemies with this beast now. It's almost impossible to make him quiet, let alone let him work for you. Chapter 7. Money Ability. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Under the illumination of 4 huge searchlights prepared by the mercenary squad, 2 box trucks drove into the abandoned parking lot. The knot and tattooed person closed the car door, walked over with a stern expression on their face. They, like the Death Shooter, Cheshire Cat, and Javelin Captain, were all mercenaries hired by Chen Tao. Of course, in their view, it is the criminal's ventriloquist who hires them, not the famous Batman. Hua Tai is a strong Mexican who is good at using lassos. He used to bind the killer alligator into a zombie trap. At this time, when he saw the killer alligator tied to the ground, he couldn't help but hook his mouth, and the tattooed person, like his nickname, looks like an ink painting covered in bird droppings. Compared to a killer, he is more like a sailor making a living on the beach. As soon as he arrived, he let out a heartless mockery. Haha. Our target is a fool. With a bang, a white smoke rushed out from the top of the killer crocodile's head. Everyone was at sixes and sevens, dragging the killer crocodile to the back of 2 box cars. During this period, the tattooed person muttered a few more words, and then almost got bitten on the arm by the killer crocodile, causing a flurry of excitement. Humiliation. Anger. The killer crocodile has reached its peak of rage. The rising anger is even higher than the gamma rays produced by the explosion of the Orion supernova. This insult that tramples on one's personality cannot be washed away even by pouring out the liquid water of Europa. The mysteries of the extreme universe, reversing the distance between space and time, the reversal of the sun and moon, and the turbulent currents of the ocean, cannot diminish this anger. He couldn't help but roar loudly. Unforgivable. This voice is comparable to the mournful cry of Prometheus stealing fire. Unforgivable. This voice is like the roar of Jesus on the cross. Unjustifiable. With a clang, the ventriloquist didn't say a word and opened the back door of the box car, then a ton of money hit the killer crocodile's face directly. There's no routine. It's all his mother dollars. Due to the rough movements, the lush money mountain collapsed directly from the carriage to the ground, like a box of overturned toilet paper. The sound of the killer crocodile came to a sudden halt like a duck being choked by its neck. These money are all advance wages, as long as you nod, they will all be yours. No, it's unforeseeable. With a clang, the ventriloquist opened another boxcar, and another ton of money poured down. The cold money rain patted the killer crocodile's face haphazardly. The killer's crocodile anger turned a blue face red. Don't insult me with these banknotes anymore. He wants to scold the other person with righteous words. His killer crocodile is a cold-blooded beast, a cruel monster, but not such a casual person. Money is amazing, isn't it? Difficult. Is it just because you give me money that I will bow down and worship you? Pop. A banknote stuck to his eyes, blocking his view. Unbreakable. Original yuan. Forgive me. The killer crocodile swayed and felt dizzy from being hit in the head by a huge amount of money both psychologically and physiologically, causing his brain language module to be scrapped in a short period of time. He held the money and said very seriously. Dad. Death shooter. Then the killer crocodile suddenly remembered that he was a black man, and black people generally didn't have a father. Cough. What I mean is, I have been wandering for most of my life, but I deeply hate not meeting a wise boss. If you don't mind, I would. Oh, my God, there are at least tens of millions of dollars here. The Javelin Captain jumped into the bank notes and said, I'm going to die. Get lost. The killer crocodile was furious. This is my money. Although she belongs to you, it's me who is holding her in my arms and indulging in reckless behavior now. The killer alligator was so angry that he bounced up with his waist and stomach, and then rolled into the bank notes. Mine. Mine. The death shooter also felt that he had simply lost his language ability. Looking at banknotes under the lamp, the more you look, the more dazzling it becomes. Unlike a javelin, he is not someone who has never seen money before. So there won't be a big fallacy like a javelin in estimating the amount of money. Tens of millions. This is at least $200 million fucking dollars. Damn it. He didn't know that the box car driven by the knots and tattooers was full of his mother banknotes. I'm afraid the tattooed person and the knot are also unknown. At that moment, he just wanted to shoot everyone on the scene, and then his mother away with $200 million. But fortunately, reason finally took control of his brain. He realized soberly that if someone could spend $200 million to buy the killer crocodile, they could also spend $200 million to buy their own brain. He has a daughter who can run away, but the monk cannot run away from the temple. Although the money is good, he is afraid that he will have his life to take it or spend it. And most importantly, the money here exceeds 2 tons, even if he grabs it, he can't take Gotham out. He forced himself to turn his head and then met the red eyes of the knot and tattooed man, which scared him to pull out his gun. Oh. Calm down, brothers. The Death Shooter secretly guarded against these 2 unprofessional fools doing something irrational, while saying, "Ventriloquist, where are you? I won't call it the employer this time." What? Is a ventriloquist an employer? I'm not buying it if a middle-aged bald old man could easily spend $200 million and still need to work for the Tan Gang. For no reason, the Death Shooter remembered the Batman doll in the ventriloquist's hand and couldn't help but shiver. The thought of the bat's figure made him feel a faint pain in his ribs. Last time he came to Gotham, he had a fight with Batman on the train and later broke 3 ribs. I don't want him anymore. The Death Shooter shook his head. Firstly, we exclude Batman as he would never do such a thing. So, people who have money and can mobilize gangsters like ventriloquists. Is it a penguin? Or a double-faced person? Riddle man. Can't it be a Roman? He has already fled to Xinjiang. Maybe we should extend the suspect a bit, for example, Bruce Wayne. Forget it, he has no motivation, let's eliminate him. A ventriloquist, a ventriloquist. Damn it. Let the real employer talk to me. What are you talking about? Don't play dumb for me. The eyes of the tattooed person and the knot are not quite aligned. The Death Shooter stared closely at them, slowly retreating. No matter how foolish the javelin is, it realizes that the atmosphere is a bit abnormal. He crawled out of the pile of banknotes and stood beside the Death Shooter, with only the killer crocodile lying on the ground like a cat sucking catnip. The Death Shooter did not intend to have a fire here, not that he was not confident in killing everyone present except for the killer crocodile, but rather that the feeling of being calculated by someone made him very unhappy. The people behind the scenes seemed to have taken advantage of his family, business, and unwillingness to cause trouble. They planned to use him to suppress these rebellious mercenaries. If the suppression fails, it is also acceptable to use his hands to eliminate the unstable factors in the team. Wait, the Death Shooter suddenly realized that the other party had even considered his idea of not wanting to merge, which means that the Death Shooter failed to suppress, killed everyone, and caused a loss of the combat power controlled by the mastermind behind the scenes, would never have occurred. This feeling is too strange. Why does he know himself so well? As for the killer crocodile, if he wants to roll up the money and run away, this $200 million may immediately become a bounty on his head, and the people present will immediately start killing and dividing the money. If he is willing to accept this job, in order to maintain his newly earned salary, he will also have to stand with his Death Shooter. They will work together to kill the other 3 people present, and there will be no risk. Then at this point, the mastermind behind the scenes asked the ventriloquist to come out and paint pancakes, intimidating and tempting. The 2 guys return to their senses, and it is estimated that they will soon put an end to their greed. This balance is good, but hasn't he thought about getting rid of it? At this moment, he noticed the Cheshire Cat silently walking to their side, forming a horned posture with him, facing the 2 guys, the knot and the tattooed man. Oh. There is also a backhand. Has Cheshire Cat been bribed beforehand? Damn it, why didn't you bribe me? The Death Shooter bit his back teeth apart without reflecting on his tendency to sit on the ground and raise prices. The tense atmosphere of swords and crossbows disappeared invisibly, and the death shooter lowered his gun and angrily aimed at the ventriloquist. "So, the real boss, don't you want to reveal the true face of Mount Lu?" Then he saw the ventriloquist nod and pull out 5 earphones from behind. Damn it, the guy behind the scenes even counted this, so angry. Aha, it has now been changed to the signing status. Chapter 8. The Arrival of Bain. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Someone knocked on the window of Chen Tao's van. Chen Tao rolled down the car window and saw the young thug who had just come to extort standing outside his van with more people, wielding machetes and crowbars. "Do you really think you dress like Batman? Are you Batman? You really scared me just now." Chen Tao was too lazy to talk to him anymore. He reached out his hand and turned it into a spinning off-road vehicle wheel. Then, while the other person was stunned, he slammed it on his forehead with a bang. Get lost. How low it is to rob Gotham with a machete and physics anti-second generation Robin holy sword. Watching the little thugs slip away, Chen Tao changed his face and picked up the microphone. "Hello, can you hear me? It's good if you can hear me." He choked his throat and spoke into the microphone in the cold voice of a Cheshire cat. "Good day, dear mercenaries." Then he quickly switched to the voice of the death shooter. "I'm glad there hasn't been any conflict between you, believe me, that's exactly what I'm happy to see. Now, let's untie the killer crocodile." The death shooter posed with a face and did not ask foolish questions like, "Who the hell are you?" He evaluated in his heart whether to continue to get involved in this muddy water. He smelled the aura of conspiracy, yes, always starting with a story like this. A hidden evil mastermind luring an inexperienced and ignorant mercenary. Mercenaries don't take on tasks for everyone. Except for those who are as skilled and brave as a funeral bell. He is a superhuman and strong enough to kill any employer who tries to trap him. But in a normal state, mercenaries are also mortal bodies, and being betrayed by their employers makes it easy for them to die on the spot. Therefore, people like death shooters usually honestly choose reliable employers through intermediaries. For example, the ventriloquist has proven that he is a kind, pure, and well-behaved gangster, which is why the death shooter came here. But is this unknown mastermind behind the scenes? The ventriloquist untied the rope of the killer crocodile. The wild beast jumped up from the ground with its teeth and claws open, and at such a close range, the muzzle of the death shooter hung low. But fortunately, the crocodile did not attack them. He ran into the pile of banknotes with bright eyes, painfully picking up each one from the dust and carefully stuffing it back into the carriage. "Hey hee hee. I have $200 million now, hey hee hee." The captain of the javelin was separated by a jealous wall and said, "Damn it, why is my salary only?" Chen Tao switched to the sound of a javelin again. Don't envy the killer crocodile, he just advanced his basic salary for the next 4 years. And I, as a generous employer, as long as I complete the tasks I have posted, I assure you that in a few months, everyone present will be able to come home with billions of dollars. This is an unprecedented task, it depends on whether you have the courage to take it. The death shooter immediately made up his mind and intervened in this muddy water. It's not about money, it's mainly because he enjoys taking risks. Chen Tao rambled on and on again, and in summary, it was me, rich brother, your rich employer scattering coins on the usage of money ability. This cake, it's big and round. In fact, Chen Tao is not a good speaker, but it would be different if his audience were surrounded by piles of dollars during his speech. On one side were visible banknotes and killer crocodiles buying horse bones, while on the other side were naked threats from 3 other people huddled together. As a result, the knot pulled out a stiff smiling face, and the tattooed person happily slapped their belly. The atmosphere quickly became lively. The captain of the javelin cheered beside him, "Ah, great employer. You are so generous." His kneeling and licking ugliness, like a Shakespearean opera hymn, left the death shooter speechless. "Aren't you not planning to take on the follow-up task?" I changed my mind. Ha, bah, something that opens one's eyes to money. The Death Shooter expresses disgust. Chen Tao continued. So the establishment of the temporary team, I have already figured it out for you, and it will be called the Suicide Team. This is really an unlucky name. I'll add you $100,000. This name is really amazing. Anyway, it's okay with him. He doesn't need any money for good words. Anyway, the Death Shooter breathed a sigh of relief. The current task has been completed, and as for the next task, as long as he is careful, he will definitely be able to return home alive. With $200 million, he may be able to retire and then work with his daughter. Chen Tao behind the screen also breathed a sigh of relief. When Bain was resolved, he might be able to retire and then interact with the heir. When I have earned $200 million, I will go back to my hometown to buy a big villa, and then with my wife. Puff. It's like crushing a bubble of horse urine. The captain of the javelin, wearing an eye mask, had his blonde head blown open by a big hand like a watermelon, and the javelin in his hand fell weakly to the ground. Puff. A few kilometers away, Chen Tao spat his coffee directly onto the live broadcast screen, then stood up abruptly and crashed into the ceiling of the van. Time seems to have slowed down. The Death Shooter widened his eyes and heard the sharp and shapely meowing of the Cheshire Cat tremble. Enemy attack. He saw the massive figure. The half-naked upper body muscles were tangled, blood vessels bulging up like pythons winding through his body. The most eye-catching thing is the bright green infusion tube that connects his head and arms, as well as the headband. Bain. Bain felt like he was often falling into an empty void. The deep darkness converged into an ocean. This is his cradle and also his tombstone. But this cannot limit his thinking at all. His soul broke open the coffin and wandered in the white night where death and vitality coexisted. He wants to find that bat monster, he wants to stand there, stand in its shadow, resist him, and finally kill him. And his fear will also die with it. At that time, the entire Gotham would sing loudly. Holy, the great hero Bain has conquered the evil Demon King. Batman. Holy, Bain, you command the four directions of Gotham, surpassing 10,000 people. But the adventure of the brave is not always smooth sailing. The Demon King dispatched his minions. That green-faced and fawn beast, his subordinates were defeated. Crawling in front of the Demon King's carriage due to money. It opened its sharp teeth, trying to intimidate the powerful Bain. And the brave will not be intimidated by him. He swung his hook, which shook like a pendulum, and the killer crocodile was hit hard and fell to the ground. I thought I broke you, beast. And now I have to kill you. The monster jumped up from the ground, its fanged mouth emitting a vicious aura. It roared, its heavy fists hitting the hero's head, and its sharp claws tearing at Bane's body. You want to dominate Gotham, right? If it weren't for your juice, you wouldn't even be a competitor. Bain punched it in the face, causing it to fall to the ground again. Another punch, its head splattered with crushed stones against the ground. Another punch, the small half of the beast's head was hit and embedded in the cement ground. Bain grabbed the wreckage of a nearby car and lifted it high. I don't need venom to kill insects like you. Bang. Because I am Bain. Bang. Nightmares of all obstacles. Bang. The calamity of all living creatures. Bang. The killer crocodile screamed loudly, causing the wreckage to deform, twist, and then split into pieces. With a gunshot, Bain dodged the bullet and then turned his head. His figure was as agile as a dolphin leaping out of the water, and in the intertwined white night of illusion and reality, his gaze shone brightly. Ah! Of course, the Demon King has other subordinates. Chapter 9. Destruction and Decadence. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Puff. Chen Tao spat out all his coffee on the screen and crashed into the ceiling of the car. He realized a terrible and terrifying fact. This was the real world, and Bain wouldn't stay obediently in the cave like a boss in an online game, waiting for the hero to brush equipment, level up, collect companions, and finally hit the door. If the traveler Chen Tao changes Batman's behavior patterns and methods, then it is only natural for Bain to make corresponding adjustments. As the mastermind behind the Arkham escape, Bane's plan was essentially to use those runaway lunatics to exhaust Batman and then wait for him to escape. However, with Chen Tao's passage, the tired Batman plan also went bankrupt. Bruce Wayne's endless desire to save the innocent dragged him down, to the point where even though he saw through Bane's plan, he still had to spend his energy fighting against various lunatics. And what about Chen Tao? Chen Tao doesn't even care about a group of crazy people having a party in his city. Dingling-lingling. Gotham's alarm is ringing loudly in a certain bank. A group of people screamed as they escaped from the gate, followed closely by the Joker and his henchmen carrying large and small bags of money. Gotham's criminal prince laughed wildly and opened his arms at the entrance. Ha ha ha. Come on, Bat. Party time. No one. Batman. The streets were empty and not even a police car could be seen. A gust of wind blew and rolled a flyer onto the Joker's face, which read, "Vote your sacred vote for Mayor Carlo." The clown touched his chin. Hey. Everyone, I suddenly have an idea. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha. Switch the screen back to Chen Tao's side. It is impossible for someone as smart as Bain to turn a blind eye to Batman's changes and the sudden appearance of mercenaries in the city. Perhaps Bain is not even sure if these mercenaries are enemies or friends, and perhaps Bain guessed something through intuition, but anyway, the unstable factors between him and Batman can be directly eliminated with violence. That's right, this is Bain's way of doing things. The simpler and rougher it is, the more effective it is. The most high-end battles are often presented in the simplest way, always thinking about spending time without any worries, and the ultimate outcome will only be like a killer crocodile. So the plan is changing now. We no longer wait for Batman to collapse and then kill him. But rather, we'll rush over now, kill the mercenaries first, and then kill Batman. Thick gift crab special. The agreed villains should let the protagonist develop and only deal with the protagonist in the end. Calm down, calm down. Chen Tao pondered silently. Bane's decision was more decisive than he had anticipated, but he still had an intelligence fallacy. He believed Batman was still powerful. And this also means that Bain will not rashly launch a decisive battle until it is confirmed that the disruptors who may cause him to fall into a besieged state will be wiped out. That is to say, if the Death Shooters can turn around and kill Bang. Then Chen Tao saw that the killer crocodile had its skull stuck in the ground after being hit by Bain. Chen Tao immediately picked up the microphone. Hold on. Just hold on and don't die. Fuck. A cold sweat emanated from the forehead of the Death Shooter. He had 2 submachine guns and a portable rifle mounted on his armor, totaling 4 muzzles, weaving a powerful firepower network in front of him. The Death Shooter has confidence, and with his control ability, even a fly cannot fly over. But now a miracle happened right in front of him. It was Bain. Spinning, jumping, that muscular monster swayed like a butterfly in the rain of gunfire and bullets. Boom. The Death Shooter pulled out an anti-tank rocket with his backhand, but such a bulky weapon could not threaten the agile Bain at such a close range. Damn it, if I had. His eyes were about to crack, but he could only watch Bain quickly approach him. Help me, Chong. Bane's eyes under the mask froze slightly. The slash from the Cheshire Cat pierced his skin. The flexible body of the woman, like a cat, unleashed an extraordinary power that was far beyond that of an ordinary person. This slash was enough to split open real steel, but only allowed Bain, who had been injected with Titan venom, to break his skin a little. With a punch, the Cheshire Cat's blade tore apart like paper, and Bain opened his 5 fingers, hitting her with crossed arms like a shooting star and crashing into a building. Damn it! The afterglow of the death shooter swept towards the teammates present. The Cheshire Cat lives or dies in the ruins, the killer crocodile lies on the ground, and the tattooed person stood beside him with a big grin, watching his teammates output like this while shaking his head and saying, "It's not like that." Damn it! The death shooter turned his head and shouted to his teammates, "Quickly retreat, we can't fight." Really? I don't believe it. The death shooter almost missed a breath. Huijie has launched an attack. He crossed over the retreating death shooter, his mouth slightly hooked, his white teeth and Mexican-style braids fluttering in the air. In a moment, he threw out a dozen lassos and tied Bain's bag into Zhongzi like a spider web. He grinned and laughed, saying, "You bunch of trash, it has to be me. Look, it hasn't passed away. Don't be complacent, be careful." But the death shooter's reminder was still one step late. Fool! Why not think that Bain can even dodge his bullets? How could he not escape these lassos? The next second, Bain tore off the drug-reinforced lock like straw, then grabbed the rope. Before the knot reacted, his body was involuntarily pulled and flew close to Bain, then bounced and hit like a yo-yo on the ground. The death shooter kept shooting, but to no avail. He couldn't believe that Bain could dodge his bullets while beating knots, agile like a young firepower king on ice skating. The tattooed person said, "If there's a knife below, it's already dead and spicy. Close your stinky mouth." Huijie angrily released his lasso and then used a dazzling speed to perform a lock technique on Bain. His name is Huijie, and his fighting skills are like a lasso, suffocating and deadly. I don't believe it anymore. Everyone is human, can it be difficult for you? He heard the death shooter shouting, "Don't do this," in the distance, but he didn't have time to consider the opinions of others. He stared closely at Bain. The other person was dumbfounded, with a completely unresponsive expression, and the corners of their mouth couldn't help but curl slightly. The next second, Bain grabbed his palm and easily pulled his body apart like straw. This action was no different from when he just pulled the lasso. Chapter 10. 1 minute. You are listening at novelfull.audio. You said you found Batman in this ordinary van on the roadside. Well, that's right. And then you thought he was fake, so you planned to grab it, and then Batman turned his hand into a wheel and knocked you unconscious. That's true. Ha. Cousin, I know this is absurd, but... Shut up. I see you're just sucking on fans. If there's really a Batman in here, I'll eat this crowbar on the spot. Don't go, cousin. There's really a Batman inside. Doo-doo-doo-doo. The little thug's cousin had just knocked on the car door 3 times when it was pushed open. The little thug saw Batman get off the car, locked the car door, and with just one swipe, it turned into a strange Batman off-road vehicle. The tires turned, and in an instant, it ran away without a trace. A gust of wind blew by, leaving only the little thug and his friends scattered in the wind. After a long time, some of them murmured as if in a dream. Ward Falk. I've seen the Christ ghost of Jesus. For so many years, I thought it was Batman sitting in the Bat-car, but never expected that Batman would be in the Bat-car. Whether from the front or the side, the temperament of the tattooed person has reached its peak. The sexy tattoo and confident gaze all showcased the atmosphere of master. The death shooter was a bit suspicious of him. Did he take a wrong look at him? No matter how you look at it, his footsteps are loose, his movements are ethereal, and although his muscles are well developed, he appears to have a simple mind, even less intimidating than his previous knots. To be honest, the death shooter believes that he is not even as good as the javelin captain, at least the opponent is an Olympic-level athlete who has won multiple javelin throwing championships. Is a guy like this really hiding something? The tattooed person took off his shirt and revealed a messy tattoo, with everything present. At this moment, he is completely like a small thug at the bottom of the gang, but his tattoo on his back, which wriggles like a living creature, can no longer be ignored. Bain stopped his hand movements. He casually set aside the killer crocodile like a dead dog and tightened his muscles all over his body. The Cheshire Cat has returned, and due to her good release posture and body flexibility, she did not suffer any fatal injuries, only a little disheveled. She squatted on the ground, trying to recover her strength as quickly as possible. Gulu 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 gulu, as if something had crawled out of the swamp. Bain's expression was solemn and prepared. The tattooed person's face showed a painful expression, and then a fierce tiger tattoo twisted and deformed in front of everyone, crawling down from him. He is actually a superpower. The Death Shooter widened his eyes. This is a genuine Bengal tiger with colorful fur and terrifying fangs, which is simply a scene from a fantasy novel. Bain assumed a defensive posture. The fierce tiger charged towards Bain. The tiger jumped up and pounced. The fierce tiger opened its fangs and big mouth. With a creak, Bain slid a shovel, and the tiger flew out like a teacup dog being kicked, with broken bones and tendons all over its body. It's okay, the tattooed person has transformed into a mammoth again. How impressive. With a loud bang, several tons of mammoth were flipped over by Bain, and their skulls were dented by several consecutive punches. The tattooed person has transformed into a pack of wolves again. Completely extinguished. The tattooed person has transformed into a chimpanzee again. A not-like ending. Tattooed people have changed again. Damn it, I'm going to come up with a big move. The tattooed man's face looked ugly, and he turned to the Death Shooter and said, "Help me buy some time." The Death Shooter immediately agreed. Although the tattooed person's transformation of these things is basically not helpful for the situation, the opponent's identity as a superpower gives Death Shooter confidence. "I can probably delay this big monster for about 30 seconds, said the Cheshire Cat, her cold voice shining like a moonlight on the battlefield. "As long as I don't confront him head-on." The Death Shooter spoke beside him, "And if I interfere, this time can be increased to at least 1 minute. And I only need 20 seconds, the tattooed man trembled as Death Shooter saw a Western dragon tattoo twisting and struggling to detach from his chest. This inevitably boosted the confidence of the Death Shooter. Boom! Bain punched the ground, and the reinforced concrete floor exploded like a spider web. The Cheshire Cat dodged with a motion that even Olympian gymnasts felt ashamed of, and gravel splattered on her body, startling her heart and soul. "Cheshire Cat, can your jellyfish toxin work on it?" Upon hearing the employer's inquiry in the earphone, the Cheshire Cat inexplicably wrinkled its nose, although her nose and face were hidden under the mask and no one knew. She said stuffily, "I don't have any jellyfish toxins. And toxins don't match cats at all." Ha! Chen Tao was taken aback. In his impression, jellyfish toxin should be the most iconic feature of Cheshire Cats. But he soon dared not talk too much about the heart of the Cheshire Cat, because Bain had already rushed towards the tattooed man. Fire! The Death Shooter kept crawling and trying to interfere with Bain. "Fuck, I knew this money wasn't that easy to earn." He shouted and cursed loudly, "Where's the ventriloquist? Damn it, where have you been hiding again? Come out and start fighting together." Bain was angered by the bullets constantly greeting his eyeballs. The Death Shooter looked up and saw the wreckage of a car spinning around, cutting towards him like a flying card. He let out a strange cry, turned his head, and ran away. Finally. Tattooed people's energy storage is over. A Western dragon rushed out of his chest. "Oh my god, this is a completely fantastic creature. It has dark scales, ugly wings, and can even spew fire from its mouth." The Death Shooter was moved to tears, and finally, "Wait, but why is this dragon only the size of a dog?" Woo! As soon as the dragon emerged, it squatted in place, snorted loudly, and stuck out its tongue like a dog, making a purring sound. "What? Bastard, are you joking? I don't know what's going on." The tattoo artist was so anxious that he was sweating profusely. This is also the first time I've had this kind of fantasy tattoo. The next second, the Spitfire dragon was trampled into meat sauce by Bain. It's done. The Death Shooter's heart sank, and without hesitation, he turned his head and left. There is no possibility of victory anymore. His spare time swept towards the battlefield, and the tattooed man was punched hard by Bain, his hands and feet twisted like a rag doll, basically finished. The killer crocodile was covered in blood and lay there like a dead dog, unable to save it. Goodbye. The Cheshire cat bounced left and right like a monkey, avoiding Bain's fist, and its sudden death was also measured in seconds. Death Shooter, you have to save your teammates. The Cheshire cat and killer crocodile will soon lose their resistance and must. The Death Shooter remained silent and threw 2 submachine guns and rocket launchers, as well as his backpack of shells and weapons, to the ground, making it easier for him to escape faster. He was well aware that if he ran like this, the Cheshire cat and killer crocodile would undoubtedly die, and the entire newly established suicide squad would suffer losses here, almost completely annihilated. This is by no means an acceptable outcome for those behind the scenes. And as he fled from the battlefield, he may face retaliation, damage his reputation, and various serious consequences and troubles, but no matter what, it's better to die on the spot. Hold on a little longer. The Death Shooter heard the whistling wind in his earphones, as if the other person was riding on some high-speed moving vehicle. You hold on for another minute, and in 1 minute. There will be reinforcements. Upon hearing the other person say such ridiculous things, the Death Shooter laughed back in anger. Fuck your mother. His voice was trembling without even realizing it. He looked at the muscular monster throwing the car wreckage out like a toy. What kind of reinforcements can deal with such a monster? Who else can deal with such a monster in Gotham City? Batman.